Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to day 5 countdown. Okay, countdown 5 days to go of the official launch of my book, The Kingmaker of Muguland. So you are welcome to the Muguland show. Muguland is a fictional country that I created in my imagination to reflect some of the experiences we go through in Africa, in our different countries, in a fictional way, so that we can take dramatic liberties with some of the events, and so that we don't have to prove to anybody that our facts are accurate or not accurate, because we want to focus on the issues that we have to deal with in Africa when it comes to our political, social, and religious experience. So I've written this book, my very first novel, and I'm so proud of it. It's called The Kingmaker of Muguland. It's a novel of political intrigue. I've not written a novel before, even though I've written more than dozens and dozens of motivational books, business-related books. But this is my very first book that is fiction. And I'm so excited about it because it's so exhilarating for me, allows me to bring out all those stuff that is in my head that I struggle with, and allows me to speak very frankly to the issues without necessarily pointing somebody out directly. But of course, it's a historical fiction, so many of us reading this book all over the world, you're definitely going to see some elements of what is in that book in your different countries, because it's not based on a true story, but it's inspired by some of the stories that we see around us. So big difference. It might have been inspired by some of the characters, some of the events, some of the stuff we have been seeing, but it's not based directly on them. So that way they cannot say, you're talking about me, although we always have the Elephanters of this world who will claim that this is about them. And I say, if you see yourself in this book, please wear it. You whom the cat fits should wear it. But I'm not talking about you directly. This novel is a work of fiction inspired by events, but not based on true life events. This is a very big difference legally. That's why I'm making a disclaimer openly, but I'm pretty excited about this book. Before we start the day 5 countdown, 5 days to go countdown, I'm going to play, of course, the promotional video of that book so that we can put in context what we're going to be discussing. Of course, I'm going to be having in the studio with me tonight 2 of my colleagues, and one of them that is very involved in actually creating the video aspect, the YouTube video aspect of this project, and another one that is involved in technical advice and in entertainment advice on the project, because it's a multifaceted project. We have the music part of it, where we created theme music to match some different chapters in the book. We created a YouTube channel where every chapter in that book is going to be released as a 7 to 10 minute video every day once we launch on Sunday, November 17th at 4 p.m. Nigerian time. We are going to then release the YouTube channel. And for the next 30 days, we are going to be dropping the video chapters for each of the chapters. You are going to enjoy it tremendously. So we have a 3-part project, a 3-part event. The music, and I wrote all the songs in the music that you're going to be hearing. I love writing songs. I've always struggled with writing them. I have these ideas in my head about putting this thing down lyrically, and I was challenged until recently. So now I put down the songs, and then we get this mysterious musician to actually perform the songs. So there's one aspect of that. And then, of course, we also have the video, and then we have the book itself. But as we get started tonight in the studio with me, I already have my guest in the studio. I'm going to start out by first playing a promotional video for that book that is coming out, so that you guys can be expectant about what is going to be happening on Sunday. We're going to be releasing the book to the world. But here is a little clip that gives you an idea what the book is about. It's a promotional video for it. Where is it now? I got it. Okay. Enjoy. Just 1 minute, and I'll be right back with my guest to get the show started tonight. Go.
This is the riveting story of a mysterious child in Muguland with a mysterious past and no known playmates. who rose from obscurity to mysterious wealth. He first seized local power with the backing of one of the most powerful families in the LA city of Muguland. Throughout his remarkable career, he shaped the destinies of both great and not-so-great political leaders, pulling the strings of Muguland's politics from the shadows. Known as the Kingmaker, he eventually ascended to become the apex predator in the treacherous landscape of Muguland's political jungle. Now, after a lifetime of deciding who would be king, he has chosen to step out of the shadows into the glamorous office of the presidency of Muguland. The Kingmaker is ready to snatch and run away with the political throne of Muguland for himself by boldly staking his claim to the #1 seat power in broad daylight. Will he succeed? Will his vaulting ambition lead to his downfall? Can he overcome the overwhelming opposition arranged against him? Can he survive the treacherous betrayals within his own inner circle? Or will he outlast them all and emerge as the last man standing? Get a copy of this riveting debut political novel from Dr. Ope Banwo and immerse yourself in the explosive saga of an ambitious kingmaker's quest to rule Muguland. This novel of political intrigue is not based on a true story. Therefore, any semblance to any country, events, or persons, living or dead, is purely the product of your hyperactive imagination. This novel drops globally on October 1st, 2024. Sign up today for updates and a chance to win one of the 100 free giveaway copies and other giveaway prizes on launch day at kingmakerofmuguland.com.
All righty, you're welcome. Let me quickly bring in my guests because I have some questions for them. Ayo, with me tonight is Mr. Ayo Bakari, who is an entertainment concepts and business development person. I've known him for years, and he's been one of the more creative people I've worked with in Nigerian entertainment scene. And I also have Mr. Stephen Oyeleye, who's a manager in the Video 360 Collective company. They are the ones that actually did all the videos that has to do with this event. Welcome, Mr. Stephen. How are you today?
Okay. Very good, sir. I'm happy one more time again to be on air with you on this historical book launch, countdown to the historical book launch. Thank you so much for having me here, sir. It's an opportune time in my lifetime that I will ever and ever for the rest of my life appreciate. Thank you so very much, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayo.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayo.
Thank you so much. To be here with Stephen and to be with you. I'm looking forward to a very interesting time towards the launch of Muguland. The audience is looking forward to an interesting time. Let's get it.
Awesome. Awesome. I have a question before we go. I've never done this. I know I have an Instagram account, but I've never gone live simultaneously on it. Right now I'm live there, but I don't know if people can hear me. Do I have to what do I do? Do I have to close the Instagram thread, or what do I do? Or do I make the now? See, when I put on the audio is muted. I don't know if they are hearing me on Instagram now. Can you check quickly for me whether you can hear on Instagram? Okay, let me ask them. Can you guys hear me on Instagram? I don't know. I see people joining the thread, but I maybe I should have done it on my phone. I don't know. Can you guys quickly check my Instagram and do? I think I'm supposed to be live there. I don't know. I'm not used to this. But everybody keeps saying, go to Instagram, go to Instagram. I don't have a clue what that is. Okay, I think I'm live there. Let me do this. Okay.
Ambition threatens to unravel the... It's played the game for years.
Okay, I think it's live. I think I can close it here. I don't know if that will close the stuff. Okay, we just have to do what we got to do. I'll figure it out before this is over. Okay, guys. Now, we are back for day 5 countdown. And today we are going to be, of course, developing on the characters that we started with yesterday. Oh, thank God some people can connect from Facebook today. I see Mr. Shegun Ogunleye there. It seems 2 invites are based, the 2 invitees are based in Muguland. I don't know where Muguland is. All right. I also have somebody from, I'm waiting for my friend from Kenya Muguland actually represents a fictitious country in Africa that are really that are representative of what is happening up all over Africa. So tonight on the stage, I have another of my friends or proteges who is also a very active politician. He actually contested in their last election in Kenya, Mr. Douglas Kirimi. Douglas, you are welcome to the show. You can unmute yourself and say something here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Dad. How are you?
All right, fantastic. I think Douglas lives in another Muguland, another part of Muguland in Africa. So, because the that depicted in this novel, they're actually things that you see in practically every area of Africa. So Muguland is a fictitious country, but everything that is happening there are things that every one of us probably experience in our countries. So Douglas, I'm glad to have you here from Kenya. Douglas is a communications consultant and writer. We have collaborated before. It's also one of my proteges that has now become a don in his own right. I'm always happy when I see my voice doing amazing thing. I just want to know, Douglas, I'm pretty proud of you for taking on the government in your country. Was one of those guys that decided that we are going to step out and call our politicians to account. It's one of the children of anger. I actually have a song for them. All over Africa, the youths who are just angry, okay, about the situation. So welcome, guys, and welcome today. So today we are going to be doing something a little bit like we started yesterday. On this 5 days to go, we're going to do a countdown. Today we're going to introduce some characters. We're going to play some of the music videos, and then we're going to discuss who do these people represent or who do these people look to you. So the first character, and luckily Mr. Stephen and his team are led by another lady called Go Tamuno and himself. They are the two managers there. They've created a video intro, like 30 seconds each, for the major characters in the book. So the thing went up on Instagram. I don't know what to do about that one. I think it went up when I closed the thread on my show. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what happened to that. So when you are live on Instagram, you don't close it, or what exactly do you do? I don't know. I must have done something really bad. I don't know what I did wrong, but we're just going to go ahead and do what we got to do here, and then figure out Instagram later. Okay, so let me introduce one of the interesting characters inside of the book. I think we're going to start today. Let's start with Reverend Olabode Agbejoro. That's one of the characters inside of the book. Let me see if I've got a presentation on him. I actually had yes. Where is my presentation here? Okay, so right here we have Reverend Olabode Agbejoro. Is the political godson of Chief Elenio in the book, who made a surprise midnight bid for the presidency of the country for himself. So he's a once trusted son of Chief Bisola Elenio. He defied his mentor by launching his own political campaign in the middle of the night. And his surprising decision to run independently is a shocking, at least many saw that as a shocking betrayal of his mentor. And that created a lot of commotion in Muguland during their election. So it was a man that was formerly indebted to Chief Elenio, but his break from his mentor probably suggests an inner ambition to claim power for himself, though he risked angering his former allies. His story is that of a protege turned adversary, the way we see it all over Africa, where a godfather picks up somebody, grooming them, and then they later turn around and decide they want to do things on their own. We're going to be talking about that phenomenon in African politics. But I'm going to play the short video that our Video 360 Collective, a group of amazingly talented young people that have been training and coaching, have been able to create to show, to represent this character. Let's enjoy, courtesy of Video 360, Collective. Where is that? Yes.
Introducing Reverend Olabode Agbajoro of the Kingmaker of Muguland. Olabode Agbajoro, once a trusted political son of Bisola, defies his mentor by launching his own presidential campaign. His surprising decision to run independently is a shocking betrayal that stirs the political waters of Muguland. Formerly indebted to Bisola's support, Agbajoro's break from his mentor suggests an inner ambition to claim power for himself, though he risks angering his former allies. His story is that of a protege turned adversary, revealing the fragility of alliances in Muguland's ruthless power games.
All right, that was a short and long of Chief Agbajoro. What do you guys think about this character? And every one of you, maybe with the exception of Douglas, I don't know if he's had the privilege of reading the advanced copy of the book. I'm going to be sending it to you tonight so that you can have a better scope when you come in tomorrow. But essentially, this character, I brought him into the book to actually represent the phenomenon that is common everywhere in South Africa, in Kenya, and Nigeria, of course, where you have political underlings, political proteges, who once they get to the place of power, all of a sudden, they start to quarrel with their boss. We see it in Nigeria of today, where between that gentleman in Rivers State, between Wike and his successor Fubara. We see it in the case of even President Bola Tinubu when one of his proteges decided that he also was going to run for presidency. Douglas, do we have something like that? Have you guys experienced something like that in the Kenyan politics? Or you guys are immune from that kind of thing? Before we go to Ayo. Go ahead.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Okwe. What many people do not realize is that a majority of people, including a peasant or a person that is driving a Ferrari or a peasant that is walking barefoot, every one of us has an ambition. And power is very dangerous. For example, when I came into government after losing the election, that you really supported me, and I'm forever grateful for your support. And thank you for always supporting young leadership and also young people to run. And I saw the Niger Lives Matter that you ran for the people of Nigeria. I wish that program was happening in Kenya because I'm a beneficiary of your innate ambition to support young people and to make sure that these people have a space and they can be able to voice their ideas. The problem is it doesn't happen every day. I think majority of Nigerians do not take it serious. But the person who recruited me into the Ministry of Interior, now my boss is now the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Professor Kithure Kindiki. The person who took me in did not want me to grow wings, did not want me to go anywhere. He wanted me to be their boy. Just stay there, play safe, play cool, and all that. But the problem is, I want to grow wings, I want to fly, I want to fly even closer to the sun and do anything I can. And people in Kenya also, I've seen a classical example where the current president was a protege of the former president, President Roitich Arap Moi. He wanted the president of today, Dr. William Ruto, to go on and support the son, Dr. Gideon Moi, to become the president of the Republic of Kenya, which did not happen.
All right. I don't want the whole history of Kenya. All I ask you is a simple question. This character, this Agbajoro, is there? You've already you started on it and then you got diverted. We don't really need to go into the whole history of the. In other words, this archetype, this type of character, do you have them in Kenya? And what does he? What are your comments about? And you started right by saying people forget that everybody has an ambition, because I remember even in our country when that gentleman decided that he was going to go against the current president, that is our former VP, decided he was going to go against the president. A lot of his supporters, that's what they were saying. That why would they be against him? He has his own, everybody has an ambition. So you are saying that is something like that also happens in Kenya. That's what I'm asking you. Just a short comment on that before we go into too long stuff about your country. All right. You want to develop that a little bit for 1 minute before we go to Mr. Then we'll go to the audience. Go ahead.
Dr. Okwe, the problem that we have in Africa or beyond is that many people do not realize that a kingmaker will never become king. And secondly, the more you attract someone around power, I've seen it happen in your organization also. You teach someone something, they come very green, and when they get to your company, by the time they leave your company, they also want to open their own branches. They want to also start something of their own. It is in it for us to be able to grow, to outgrow our mentors, and also to outgrow kingmakers. The only problem that many people do not want to accept is that it can happen to anyone. If you bring anyone near power, the corrective answer or the corrective result is that these people will also want to be able to outgrow their current status. They want to go beyond there. They want to go and take more. For example, if you are used to giving a person a lift every day, talking about nice cars, talking about things, stuff, the next day, you even if it's a car, you'll find them with a car. If you give them power today and access for it and also a taste for it, you will find them tomorrow. They want more power for themselves. There's no problem with someone launching their campaign at night. There's no problem with someone growing wings. When an opportunity arises, if I were the one, I would also do the same. It is happening in Kenya. It is happening in Nigeria. It's in South Africa. It's everywhere.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So essentially what Douglas is saying, and Douglas is for those of you just joining us, we are discussing the phenomenon of proteges who often turn against their mentors in African politics. And we have a character like that inside of my upcoming novel called The Kingmaker of Muguland. And that character is called Reverend Olagbode Agbejoro, who is also a lawyer, at least in my book and in my thinking. So we are discussing that phenomenon that gentleman represented in the short video that I played, and Douglas was giving his opinion. What do you think, Mr. Stephen? What do you think of that phenomenon?
Yes, sir.
What do you think of that phenomenon?
Yes, sir. That's a phenomenon of Reverend Agbejoro trying to supplant his leader who took him into power, and they had an agreement. I heard that he was just there to just stage for him till the time he's going to come up with his own ambition to become the president of the country, and of which, because of human nature, everybody is created to dominate. Nobody comes close to power and wouldn't want to have a grasp or have a taste of it. So the nature of man took over Agbejoro. Well, it reminds me of Satan and God and Satan. Satan was trying to take power from God, thinking he could do that. Well, I don't think God is a match for Satan, but I just want to use that as an example. That Satan wants to take power from God. He wants to take over power from God because everybody wants to rule. Everybody wants to be there. So it's not really particularly out of place if someone is wanting to take power, if one has the opportunity. But another person is that of Awolowo and Akintola in the Action Party those years before I was born, of which Awolowo told Akintola at one time to put in for him till he's ready for a particular thing. I don't really remember that history per se, but I realized that Akintola, when Awolowo was coming up to take up the position, Akintola was not wanting to calm down. He was not wanting to step down from that position. And that became a rivalry between the two of them. The tension was so serious that they had to split their party. So that is one. And another thing, and the third person that it reminds me of is is just the immediate vice president of this country, Nigeria, and that's Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Yemi Osinbajo is a reverend actually in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. He got into power, and he saw himself as someone who is fit in terms of age, in terms of intellect, in terms of the idea to lead the nation forward. And people around him pushed him also, say, this is an opportunity for you to become something in your life. If once lost, you can get back to it again. So it reminds me of Professor Wole Osinbajo, especially in Nigeria, though he's a fictitious character as far as the Muguland book is concerned. So.
That's interference. That's interference.
Introducing Reverend Olabode Agbayoro of the Kingmaker of Muguland. Olabode Agbajoro, once a trusted political son of Bisola, defies his mentor by launching his own presidential
Hello,
campaign.
can you hear me?
His surprising decision to run independently is a shocking betrayal that stirs the political waters of Muguland. Formerly indebted to Bisola's support, Agbajoro's break from his mentor suggests an inner ambition to claim power
you hear
for
me?
himself, though he risks angering his
Hello?
former allies. His
Yeah,
story is
Mr.
that of a
Bakari, I can hear
courtisan
you.
turned
I'm
adversary,
hearing you.
revealing the
But I
fragility
can't. We
of
can't
alliances
coach.
in Muguland's ruthless power games.
You are mute, sir.
Yes, can you hear me?
Sorry about that, Ayo. Yeah, we can hear you, Ayo, with your national grid that is always failing. All right. Yes. What is your comment about Chief that character as represented in African politics? Okay, which is a phenomenon of proteges and mentorship is gone off again every time we call him. His system goes up. Is dealing with the so-called power grid problem, but we'll give him a few minutes to come back. Let's see what people are saying on the chat. I see Dr. Emmanuel Adebola. Good to see you, sir. He says a kingmaker will never become big king. In Nigeria, the president was a kingmaker and is now a king. Douglas, that's a direct response to it, and I agree with Dr. Adebola, who's joining us from, I think, Dallas. You believe, or a lot of people used to believe, you know, in Nigeria, we rewrite everything. Even there is a saying that a kingmaker is not supposed to be king. But Nigeria has defied the odds, as Dr. Adebola just reminded us. Thank you for that. Mr. Ogunle says that means a lawyer. Yeah, he is a lawyer. All right. The Kingmaker of Muguland. So Mugu people live in Muguland. Yes. Actually, they are called Mugulanders. All right. I think when we get to 2 days to the launch, I'm going to explain where all the nomenclatures. Who are the Mugulanders? What is Muguland? What do they look like? How do they behave? We actually have a video that represents the whole of Muguland. We're going to play it in a second for you. Dr. Emmanuel Adebola joining us from Dallas. I thought Mr. Ayo is back, but is gone out again. I might as well play that video right now. Okay, Muguland is a place in my head. It's a fiction of my imagination, but a beautiful place that represents typically the beauty of Africa. We have Africa with so many blessed countries, including my country of birth, Nigeria. So you can actually say even Nigeria represents, Muguland represents a country like Nigeria, a country like Ghana, a country like South Africa, like all these blessings we got in Kenya, all the natural resources, but yet we cannot put our game together. We cannot get our act together as a people. So the Muguland is really let me put it out there. So what is Muguland was the question. Okay, and who are Mugulanders? Okay, or the Mugus, if you like. Dr. Adebola, now you ask question. Now we go ask you tonight. So what is Muguland and who are the Mugus? Okay, Muguland is a fictional country in my head, in my imagination, because dealing with the reality in my place of birth, Nigeria, for instance, can be a very dangerous thing, can be a very infuriating thing, because every day you have something to complain about concerning your government. And every time you talk, they say you are bringing down your government. So it's better to go into the realm of fiction. So that way you can be free to talk about what you need to and without the distraction of people say, oh, he's talking about me or he's not talking about me. Let's talk about the issue. Just like right now, we are discussing the issue about the phenomenon of proteges who turn against their superior. We're going to come back to that maybe tomorrow when we play another character. That should we even be having this kind of godfatherism? Is that what is helping us or what is ruining us in Africa? So Muguland is a fictitious nation, but I expect every African country to see their country there because our experience is basically uniform. We have politicians that steal our money. We have politicians who don't perform and then we re-elect them. We have godfatherism. We are so blessed, but yet we have nothing to show for it. So that's what Muguland is. And Mugus, or Mugulanders, if you like, are those who live. And people will say, what is Mugu? Of course, a Mugu is somebody that is being scammed and doesn't even know or realize that he's being scammed, or is allowing himself to be taken advantage of. By the way, Douglas is surprised. That's what a Mugu is. Okay? A Mugu is somebody who is not smart enough to know that he's been taken advantage of, like a kind of victim in a scam. That's what a Mugu is. And that's what most of us in Africa are. We are Mugus right now because we have these leaders who scam us. They run election, they come back and win. We have leaders that we ourselves know are stolen our commonwealth. But it comes, it gives us a little. It spreads for us and we all hail them. Or we fight for them because they are from our tribe versus another tribe. Those are all the themes I explore in this book. So yeah, we are Mugus, myself included. Because if we're not Mugus, a lot of these leaders that we have, they should not be ruling us. But they are. You see some of the poorest people in Africa. They are the ones that go and steal ballots for the billionaire, trillionaire politician. Mr. Douglas, have you ever seen anybody, any rich man on the street stealing ballot boxes in Africa? No, they don't. They sign the poor. They sign the youths. So let's take a look at Muguland in my head. All right, because you guys were able to bring it up for me very well, and I really, really love that video about Muguland forever, because we love our country. I know Douglas loves his country. I love mine. Every one of us love the country we come from. But it is what it is. I think I have. Yeah, this is how beautiful our countries are in Africa, and the tragedy of our experience in Africa. Muguland forever.
Muguland, beautiful, shining through the rain. From the mountains to the seas, we rise again. With our land so green and our hearts so true. Muguland, the beautiful, all eyes on you. From arable lands where the harvest grow wide, the envy of nations with blessings worldwide. Sunshine that warms us, no frostbite in sight. Our weather's a gift in the day and the night. Brains that amaze and hearts full of fire. The world sees our talent, we rise even higher. We build and we shine, no challenge too tall. Mugulanders rise, we conquer it all. Muguland, beautiful, shining through the rain. From the mountains to the seas, we rise again. With our land so green and our hearts so true. Muguland, the beautiful, all eyes on you. Resilient we stand, through storms we smile. Every hardship we face, we rise in style. Over 250 tribes with a culture so rich. Born from the past where traditions stitch the riches below. From oil to gold, natural wonders that never grow old. From diamonds to gas, we've been truly blessed. The world looks to Muguland for the best. Muguland, beautiful, shining through the rain. From the mountains to the seas, we rise again. With our land so green and our hearts so true. Muguland, the beautiful, all eyes on you. Our food tells a story, from jollof to stew. Pepper soup that warms and fufu too. A taste of our land in every bite. The world craves our flavors both day and night. We laugh through the pain, our spirits don't break. With joy in our hearts and love that we make. Muguland's a treasure for all to behold. A future so bright, a story untold. Muguland, beautiful, shining through the rain. From the mountains to the seas, we rise again. With our land so green and our hearts so true. Muguland, the beautiful, all eyes on you. shining through the rain. From the mountains to the seas, we rise again. With our land so green and our hearts so true, Muguland of beautiful, all eyes on you.
And I think that's a great presentation of our of the Muguland of my dreams. We had great stuff happening there, but somehow we can't get it together. All right, that was Muguland. Mr. Bakar is back. Hopefully, he's able to talk now. I wanted to get his take on the Agbejaro phenomenon. Now, that was the phenomenon of Portuguese turning against all about the Agbejaro or Portuguese turning against their mentor. Okay, what do you have to say to that, sir? Okay, it's gone every time I call him, his video goes off. All right, we have to keep moving then. All right, the next character we want to talk about today. I think we keep having this connection thing. It's not Mr. Ayo's problem, but I think Nigeria, we all know how these things work. Even in Kenya too, they start. Do you guys have light failure in Kenya too now? Douglas, are you guys dealing with power failure or not?
No, I just left office, so I'm in my car. Internet.
Oh, I hope you're not driving.
No. I packed my car.
Okay, fantastic. All right, but do you guys have power failure in Kenya?
No. We don't use generators here. You know, there's a story that is told about Nigerians in Kenya. We have Nigerians in Kenya, but they shout because they use generators back in their country.
All right. We have to give your leaders kudos then, because South Africa has started dealing with power failure too now, and so we pray that that phenomenon never gets to your. The
problem with Kenya is that we had two national blackouts, and people started saying that they are going to kick out the president because they had two national blackouts, like hours, maybe 6 or 7 hours. And those 2 days happened in less than 2 months. So they were saying the best thing is to kick out the president so that we can have a competent president that can be able to fix the power problem in our country. 2 times, less than 6 hours, we want to kick out the president. In Nigeria, no power, and still Tinubu is the president.
There you go. Again, that's why we are Mugus, because we don't have power, but we still have presidents, even the same party. For over 9 years now, it's still the same party. They can't give us light, and yet they keep winning elections. And the people will say we are not Mugus. I know that Nigerians are going to attack me for calling Nigerians Mugus. We are Mugus. We represent this country in my head, part of that. A nation that is just allowing itself to be taken advantage of by its leaders. South Africans are Mugus, because we know the country they were handed over less than 30 years ago. Look at their country now, and yet they still have the same leaders, the same type of leaders. That's a Mugu move right there. Okay, but I like Kenyans. That's why I like your use. I actually have a special song for you guys. The children of anger, 2 blackouts, they are ready to die. We are used to blackout now. Mr. Ayo, we've been waiting for you. Do you have can you talk now? Because every time we call you, your stuff goes off. I don't know. You have to unmute to talk, sir. You are muted. Let me see if I can unmute. Okay, you're muted now. Oops, you muted yourself again. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so can you hear me now? Okay, so you raised some very vital and important philosophical points. Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, so you raised some very important vital points in politics, yeah, as regard the protege phenomenon. I think from the time of Saki and his dad, I think that was a political, what they call it, was a political parade that shocked everybody, because they were both, father was a senator, and he contested for the governorship of Kwara State. And at a particular point in time, I think he went against the calling of his dad, because dad wanted his daughter to contest for governorship. All over Nigeria, there's actually no state in this country where you don't have political proteges. It has become like a normal political ideology, like a phenomenon that has to exist, that you can't do politics in Nigeria without having a godfather. And it's a very sad scenario, really, where you can have people come outside individually to contest based on their own ideology and their own philosophy for what they feel they can do for the people, without having somebody at the top that's going to tell you that you have to go through him, or you have to go through a learning process, or you have to be under some sort of guidance, or that maybe you're not politically matured enough to have an independent opinion, which even happened even during time of Oshibaju and Tinubu. Even though I would not consider that a betrayal really, but I think it had to do with personal interest and personal ideology. All of us are ambitious people when it comes to politics. People get into politics because of ambition, really, not just because they want to serve. Nigerian politicians are not out to serve the people; they're out to lead, and you can't actually lead if you cannot serve. So if our political ideology in Nigeria is motivated by the protege matter, like happened between Ibori, it happened in River State, and even today still happened between Fubara and Wike, and it now begs the question really that are these people independent minded? Is it the parties have an ideology that people want to roll with, or is it that the ideology you must follow must be the ideology of your predecessor or somebody for a guiding hand? Must there be a guiding hand? If there's a guiding hand in politics, then what is the whole idea of a political party having an ideology in the first place? So the whole political ideology in Nigeria is becoming personalized to the interest of an individual and who he feels is supposed to be in power, not who necessarily has to be in power. And I think this book actually shows a lot of that, and actually brings out that hidden fact that nobody really wants to talk about. That it is quite unfortunate that even as you speak today, even in the presidency, they say they're grooming somebody else to be president based on what political followership, based on what ideology, that somebody like Olabode in the book Agbojeru will decide to now call it a betrayal. If it was not a protege matter, it won't be seen as a betrayal. It will seem as an independent candidate coming out to say, okay, I feel I deserve this position and I've worked for the party and I can serve the people. But as you rightly said, Nigeria, they will ask you, who is your godfather? And I think that's quite sad, even throughout Africa. And that's my take on that.
All right. Well, very well said. Very well said. I cannot fault you or fault anything you have to say. It's just one of the tragedy of our existence, I think, even though there's godfather everywhere in the world, but in our own case, it's like everything is just exaggerated. Let's look at another character. We've spent a lot of time on that character, and we still have a long way to go tonight, so we're going to make it short. Our comments, once I pull them up for us to lock it down. Now, before we go, I see here is a character here. I think did we deal with Jade Orokpo yesterday? I think we did, right? We did. We did, right?
No, we did not. No, we
Professor
did not.
Jade Orokpo. Oh, we did not deal with Jade Orokpo. Okay, we're going to come. But now there's a character that I want us to.
Yes, we did. We did Orokpo yesterday.
All right, can we just focus?
We did Jade Orokpo yesterday.
There's a character that I want us to focus now. All right, there's a character I want us to focus now. His name is Saul Rottweiler in the book. Saul Rottweiler is an inspiring person in the Kingmaker of Muguland. Let me quickly give a summary of the man, because one of those guys that really impressed me in the, I don't know if I have a write-up on, yes, he's a relentless investigative journalist and the nemesis of the corrupt elites in Muguland. I mean, he was an exiled journalist in the book, of course, who has dedicated his life to exposing Muguland's most powerful. He's actually an homosexual who had to migrate out of his Muguland because of persecution, because of his sexual orientation. And then he dedicated his life to actually investigating and exposing corruption in his country. So, and then, of course, in the book, he focused his sights on Chief Bisola Eleniyan. And then he decided that he's going to bring the man down at all costs. And he started doing a lot of exposés, a lot of reports, bringing out long-hidden stuff. And he used his exposés to challenge the government. And then he ended up igniting a movement among the youths and to the establishment. I mean, they call him a nuisance. Even in the book, they were even trying to kill him. They sent out assassins at him. But to the people, he's a hero of somebody willing to to risk his life to bring the government down. So we had a prominent role in that book, in the Kingmaker of Muguland, for this character called Saul Rottweiler. In fact, he also featured in the follow-up book that is called The Children of Anger, that is coming out after this. So we had a short video too introducing him to the audience, those who might be willing to get this book when it gets launched on Sunday, 4 p.m. Nigerian time or West African time, we are going to be launching my first novel called The Kingmaker of Muguland. Here is one of the characters in the book, one of the colorful characters in the book is called Saul Rottweiler.
Introducing Saul Rottweiler in The Kingmaker of Muguland. Saul Rottweiler, the exiled investigative journalist, has dedicated his life to exposing Muguland's most powerful. With Bisola Elenian in his sights, Saul's determination brings him face to face with danger, even as he becomes a fugitive hunted by international bounty hunters. But despite this, he remains undeterred, digging deep into Bisola's past of identity theft, drug trafficking, and corruption. Saul's exposés not only challenge the government, but ignite a movement among Muguland's youth. To the establishment, he's a nuisance. To the people, he's a hero willing to risk his life to bring down a corrupt regime.
Interesting. What do you guys think about Saul Rottweiler? For those me, all of you have had advanced copy of the book. Mr. Douglas is going to be getting the full advance copy tonight. But what do you guys think about his phenomenon in the African political terrain? Because practically every country in Africa probably has that kind of journalist. I don't know if they have it in Kenya. I know we have plenty like that in Nigeria. I know South Africa has some, which we are going to be talking about. All right, I will give Mr. Ayo the first dib here before his phone goes off again. What's your take about the role of a political journalist in our political experience, especially that character? Who does he remind you of? What does he represent? Let's talk about that.
So we have people like David Oden that has been ruggedly pursuing the issue of appropriateness of political candidates. This is a job that's supposed to be done by INEC, but we find our political elites not being able to do that job well. So that is somebody that reminds me of somebody that is saying, if you're not going to vet these candidates well, then it's left for the fortune of government, which is the media and the journalists, to actually say, are these people really capable to be elected in the first instance? Before you even come out to say, I want to contest or to campaign, are you eligible to contest for that election ab initio? I think that's what these people represent, and that's what Saul represents, saying that, okay, fine, it's okay for anybody who wants to contest the election, but let's do a background check. And if the arm of government responsible for doing a background check fails in this responsibility, then it's left for journalists like Oden and like Rottweiler to take it upon themselves to say, you know what, this is my own contribution to democracy. Because democracy is not just a contribution for people in power, it's also a contribution by people that are being governed. And so the journalists also have a lot of role to play. And when somebody dedicates his time to such a role, it's because he's overtly convinced with some facts that he has at hand that this particular individual is not worthy to even contest an election in the first place. And I think there are so many journalists like that in Africa that have even got international awards that have dedicated time to issues that affect life and humanity, that affect the social order, and that affect development. And I think David fits into that character perfectly well. If I must personify that character with somebody real, I think that would be my first choice. Really.
Yes, I think David definitely. David Unde is one of those journalists that you can say actually maybe acted as some kind of inspiration to that character, even though it's not about him. This is about journalists that actually stand in the gap for the people. And my own concern is that we don't seem to have enough of those in Africa. In Nigeria, maybe we have like 3-4 of them. The David Unde's of this world, maybe if I had to ask Mr. Yelea to count 5 of investigative journalists of that level who go international, do what it takes to expose corruption, I don't think we are going to count up to 5. I don't know about Kenya. Mr. Kirimi, how many journalists like this gentleman that we showed, Saul Rottweiler, in my book, how many of those types do you have in Kenya? Do you even have any? What are they like?
Thank you, Dr. Oko. In Kenya, we have investigative journalists. Some of them internationally acclaimed, like Boniface Mwangi, and so many other female and male. But the problem I have with investigative journalists in Africa, and especially in my own country, is the commercialization of their work. Sometimes an investigative journalist, we have an MP that I will not name for obvious reasons, who was a former investigative journalist, but today is one of the biggest violators of the constitution, is one of the biggest violators of human rights, is also one of the most corrupt people around. The corruption that he was exposing in the years of the past is now practicing the same corruption. The same people he was exposing are the same people he is sitting down with, the same people he is going to mosques with, to churches with, the same people he was calling brother thieves. He has now become a brother thief with his hands deep into the public coffers, stealing from the people and also defranchising the people of Kenya and Africa at large. What I have in my mind is an African investigative journalist that will stick true to their words, stick true to their profession, and stick true to their work. If your job is to expose corruption in Africa, you do not expose corruption and join the bandwagon and start eating with the people that you are accusing of eating, or people buy you off. A journalist will start off their lives in Nairobi, in the raw parts of the raw candas of the society. The next year, you find them in posh estates like Karen, Modaiga, and Runda, the posh estates of Nairobi. Where did these people get the multi-million shillings to be able to move from where they are, from where they were, and then in fact it is to report their lives into the posh estates of Nairobi. In Nigeria, you'll find someone living in some place in Lagos. The next morning, you find them in Banana Island. How did they get there? And they have no track. They used to, when they are doing investigative journalism, they will tell you that they are calling for lifestyle audit of their president. They are calling lifestyle audit of their MPs. They are calling for lifestyle audits of their private developers and business people. But when they become suddenly rich, they cannot be able to now come out and tell us how did they make it suddenly, and they were accusing the president of being corrupt. It is the commercialization of investigative journalism in Africa that I am against. And also, some of them, for example, in Kenya, someone would come and become an investigative journalist and use that as a ticket to be able to run to Netherlands, to America, to Canada, seeking asylum, saying, for example, in quote, the president of my country wants to do away with me. The leaders of opposition are going to bed with the government. So I am exposing them and they are going against me. So I want to run away from my country, and they would seek asylum, or they would be able to use it and seek asylum in another country using the same or commercializing everything in the end. But my problem is, why are they using that route? Why can't they stay true to their profession? If you are a pastor, stick to your pastoral duties. If you are an investigative journalist, please stick to your job. Do not use it as a commercial vehicle to transport yourself to the next phase of your life or whatever you wanted to do. So, Dr. Okwe, we have so many people who are doing investigative journalists in Africa, in Nairobi, everywhere, in Nigeria, in South Africa. But the problem is, these people are using the same to be able, whatever they are accusing politicians of doing, they are also using it now, using a blackmail and taking money from people.
I got you. So basically what we are saying is that a lot of investigative journalists that are represented by this Sir Rottweiler in the Kingmaker of Muguland, many of them actually, they commercialize their profession. In other words, they call them brown envelope journalists in Nigeria, where they collect brown envelope. No, you hit it on the money. Now, I'm not saying Sir Rottweiler in my book and in my head is actually not seen like that, but it's phenomenal. You are very correct. In Nigeria, for instance, my own country of birth, when you want to get a story published, most journalists today will not publish it unless you give them money. Okay, unless you tell them to go and follow a story, they will tell you have to pay them before they can go follow it, because they've sold out their profession. But every once in a while, you have people like Sir Rottweiler, okay, at least as represented in my book, who is just interested in getting to the bottom of the story at all times. And of course, when you have a few like that, the establishment don't like them. Even their fellow journalists don't like them. Why? Because they are more or less spoiling business. I mean, if somebody is not looking for brown envelope, he just decided he's going to publish what he has to publish, both the establishment and his colleagues will not like him. So that is what I see. But I agree with you. A lot are sellouts. A lot are just using their investigative journalism to blackmail the powers that be, which is despicable, to blackmail politicians. And well, let's hear from Ayo or Stephen. Stephen, do you want to weigh in? Go ahead. If you want to weigh in, or we.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I want to weigh in. I think I've heard about someone. I think I've heard about someone by the name Isayo Soyombo, the founder and editor-in-chief of Foundation for Investigative Journalism, who is known for his undercover work to expose injustice in the country. He's from Nigeria. Yeah, Isayo Soyombo, the founder and editor-in-chief of the Foundation for Investigative Journalism. So he's known for his undercover work, including spending days in police cell to expose injustice, corruption in the justice system. So he's a man that was very, very radical. I mean, he's very radical. I have heard about him, and he did lots to expose injustice in the justice system. So he established this in 2020. He focuses on social justice, human rights abuse, and corruption in Nigeria. So his investigations have led to reforms from police extortion, airline, and banks, and as well as action from the Nigerian Immigration Service. So he's a very perfect example of Saul Rottweiler. So I've never heard of him compromising his stand as a radical investigative journalist. So he's a perfect example. He didn't monetize, or he didn't buy into being corrupt by getting bribery to blackmail people. He stood by the tenets and the principles of investigative journalism. He didn't back off from it. So a very perfect example is Isayo Soyombo in Nigeria, who established Foundation for Investigative Journalism in Nigeria, 2020.
I've heard of Isayo, and I think that's the guy that actually got himself put in jail for so many weeks or months, and he came up with an expose and all that. There's also the Kemelu lawyer girl. Although she didn't go into prison for undercover, she was put in jail, but she did a lot of amazing reports from there. I was reading some of her reports about her life in the Port Harcourt jail, and I was like, whoa. So there are some journalists like that who do not care. Like that Kemelu lawyer lady, for instance, doesn't even have to do an expose about her own father, which I thought was I don't know whether to call that one courage or to call it madness or to call it, I don't know what to call it. But you have to admire it, no matter whatever you put into it. We're in Africa. It's difficult for Africans to do what that lady has done. That's why I have mad respect for her. Because if she can write an expose about her father, you know you are not safe. So if she can expose her dad, you know that you, as a politician, your life is not safe in her hands. So I have nothing against the lady, the Kemelu lawyer lady. I think that she's just if we have like 10 or 20 of those kind of journalists in Africa or in each country, maybe we better. Right now, it's almost like maybe if you take Fisayo and you take David Unei, those are really the only two that I think are really doing heavy duty investigative journalists about Nigerian politics today. The rest are mostly compromised. I'm not saying they are all compromised. I have some good friends among them, but most of them are just looking for what they're going to eat. Okay, they have to run reports for you. You have to pay them to get them to investigate anything. You have to pay them because their newspapers don't pay them. They are being paid next to nothing, and they have to survive. So it's also difficult for you to condemn the journalists who are not doing what I call pure journalism, where it don't matter what the report is. They don't need anybody to pay them money or to gaslight them into going to go do the investigation, like a David. But because you have newspapers who don't pay salary for 6 months, or they pay them money that they can't even survive in. So they make you, the person that is trying to get them to go do investigation or to make a report for you, they make you their employer. You have to pay them for that. But let's hear from Ayo, if you are stable enough to make a comment before we move to the next character. You are muted actually. Let me unmute yourself, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that one of the major things that Rottweiler shows is perseverance, and that is very difficult to find among journalists today. In the media of this modern media of this world, you find a very controversial issue, and then people start discussing it. Then after 2 weeks, it disappears, and then you find another social media discussion, and then that is gone. And so there's no depth. The media doesn't have the level of depth needed to actually even bring a change in social order or political ideology. So when you see somebody that is persistent on an issue and he wants to see it through, that is commendable. That is what the book portrays as a character of Rottweiler. Somebody that is dogged and is resolute on seeking the truth and really going as far as possible to make sure that it gets to the end of his analysis. But as you rightly said, even in the book, it shows the kind of response that the government gives such people by actually making them go into exile and then looking for excuses to demonize his personality and say he's gay, he's not straight, you know. And then so there's a lot of digression from the core issues of what he's trying to investigate to what the issues are not. But what I like about the character is the perseverance and depth shown by a journalist, you understand, which is what should be reminiscent of journalists in Africa today. We don't find that anymore. You don't find that. There's an issue of a politician having a controversy about stolen funds, and then after 1 week, it's gone out to the media. When the media looks for another juicy story to bring up on board, they discuss that for 1 week, and the matter is gone again. And then you find out that so people get away with a lot of things because they just have to endure 2 weeks of scrutiny, and therefore the matter is dead. So I think that I think the book also espouses that part of journalism, the perseverance and determination on key important issues, to the extent of how that issue affects the polity.
All right. Thank you so much. I think that is a very succinct analysis on the character of Sir Rottweiler. For those of you watching this, you want to be with us at the official launch of the book on Sunday, 17th of November on Zoom at 4 p.m. West African time. We are going to be launching my very first official novel, a historical fiction of political drama. And I'm so excited about it. You want to join us? One of the big characters in that book is Sir Rottweiler, who embarked on a solid investigation against the political elite and almost lost his life for it. If you are watching this, I want you to tap on the screen, depending on the country you are watching this from, who personifies this character the most in your country right now. So you are listening to us talk about this guy called Sir Rottweiler in the book. Who does it remind you of in your country? Tap it on the screen. Let's see what you think about this so that we can have a communication going on here. Lord Samuel say masterpiece book unveiling soon. Yes. At that, Bola, oh, my friend, it says this book will go places. Thank God it's not a military regime. I can see the book becoming one of the international bestsellers and winning a Nobel Prize. Amen. I know you are bold and resilient. You are prepared for a lot of strong antagonists. My book is fiction. Muguland is in my head. It's not a real country. But whoever the cap fits, he can wear it. I'm trying to take over from the traditions of Chinua Achebe, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Wole Soyinka, who write in satire. You know, there's a time will come, you have to escape from reality into just creating a whole scenario to speak to issues, like Chinua Achebe did with Things Fall Apart, because the incidents he depicted in his book, it can be seen anywhere in Africa, in our culture. The clash between modernity and maintaining culture with the tragedy of Okonkwo. I thought that book left a permanent impression in my head. And then we have The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born. I think that was by a Kenyan person I think that's a Zambian person, by Ngugi wa Thiong'o. The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born, where they use a fiction to actually bring to life their daily experience in their stuff. So it's an interesting thing. Guys, keep faith with us. This is 5 days to the official launch, and every day we bring you a show, a 2-hour show, just to talk about some of the issues that is raised in that book. Another thing that was explored in that book is the issue of, before we go to more issues, let me bring out one more character here. Okay. let me look for it. Let's look because okay, I'm looking for the character. Where is my video here? Let me see if I got okay. We have Poligwe still coming. Poligwe is one of the protagonists in that book. One of the top opposition leaders. We have Poligwe. We have, of course, the lead character himself, Chief Bisola Eleniyo. We are going to be talking about him extensively today because over the next 4 days, we're going to be having him almost every day talking about him. We have Yanla Eleniyo. This the godmother of Bisola Eleniyo still coming. So it's a power pack day, and we have we've already done Yemi Aluta yesterday. If you missed that show, you want to go check that out. But let's look at this character, the Paul Igwe man. Paul Igwe in the book is the leader of the I won't say leader of the opposition, one of the surprising characters that showed up to actually oppose what I call the establishment candidate. Is a populist politician with an army of angry youths behind him, ready to upend or upset the political landscape. Paul Igwe was a former governor from the Okorobia region of Muguland, because in Muguland we have these different regions there. We have the Awosa land, we have the Yorubawa nation tribes, we have the Okorobias. He's revered for his integrity, his modesty, and his unwavering dedication to the people. Unlike many in power, this Paul Igwe in my book lives simply, avoiding the excesses of Muguland's political elite and then gaining admiration across the country. His transparent and grassroots-focused leadership has inspired hope, especially among the youths and the middle class, who view him as a symbol of honesty in a system that is plagued by corruption. In the book, with a movement of young, passionate supporters called the Iguerians, it says rallying behind his vision, Igwe's campaign is fueled by the public frustration with corruption and their hope for genuine reform, like what we witnessed all over Africa, like what we have seen in Kenya, what we have seen in South Africa, and of course, what we saw extensively in Nigerian situation. So his rise as a champion of transparency stands in contrast to the power-driven of Muguland's traditional political elite. So it's a very big part of the book. In fact, the whole premise of the book is the war between, or the political fight between the establishment candidate and this upstart gentleman called Paul Igwe. We have a short 20-second video to introduce him to our readers, and I'm going to play that before we go into the phenomenon of political upstarts in African politics.
Paul Igwe, a former governor from the eastern region of Muguland, emerges as a beacon of hope for many disillusioned citizens. Known for his integrity and frugal lifestyle, Igwe's entry into the presidential race electrifies the nation. His grassroots appeal, especially among the youth and middle class, poses a serious threat to the established political order. Igwe's candidacy represents a direct challenge to Bisola's ambitions, as he advocates for transparency and accountability in a system plagued by corruption.
All right, that's the shot that we have on him. Basically, it represents what I call the upstart phenomenon in African politics. Every once in a while, we get an upstart in African politics to stand up and challenge the elites. Typically, it doesn't end up well for them. Either they get killed, like it happens in Omar Bongo of Gabon, or the Thomas Sankara, or even in our own Nigeria, where we have the Abiola, MKO Abiola, who stood up to try to reclaim power from the so-called powers that be, and ended up losing their life. But in this book, we have this gentleman, Paul Igwe, who happened to have a violent, a very dedicated, a very angry set of youths who backed him up and almost propelled him to victory, and it was a bloody affair in the book. So what do we say about this phenomenon of upstarts in African politics? Do we need more of them? Do we need less of them? How can we protect them if we believe in them? Okay, let's go. Ayo, I'll give you the first take. What do you say about Paul Igwe and, of course, the phenomenon of upstarts? Go for it.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Very interesting. You spoke about Sankara, spoke about MK Abiola. and a couple of them that came into the political scene to actually create a change. We also spoke about that yesterday. The phenomenon I noticed about ways, why his own political issue is different in the book is that there seems to be a social media drive that politics has not really witnessed before. We've not really seen the influence of social media on political ideology. We are seeing it today through people like Poligwe in the book. Someone like Peter Obi, for example, personifies that kind of character. Where you see a whole mass of youth coming out to support the movement or to create a movement and look for a figure to end the movement. Let me put it that way. To create a social media drive. So, or like before, when it was members of political parties or political elites, they actually led the drive for a political candidate. This particular candidate was being driven by the masses, was being driven by the youth. So there was a sort of social media upheaval to say, okay, fine, we are tired, and this is the change we want. So you find a dichotomy between who the political class wants to be a leader and who the people want to be their leader. So what they have done is to give voice to a candidate that is able to run with the baton. So a candidate before might be popular within the party circle, but not popular within the market. And then you find out that before now, based on Nigerian politics, if you're not a top-ranking person in the political class or you're not a member of a political party, you might not really have a voice. But you find out that people that are not really affinitized to a particular party had a voice to speak because they are the social media, right? They are somebody that could carry energy. That was very important for me. I think that's what Polygo represents. I think people like Peter Obi, Sankara, I think they always find that category. I think this is different. And from the youth, from the Z's, as they call them, from the new generation, that created a movement. This movement, unlike before you had the action group or you had the NCNC party of Cameroon, this movement is led by people who do not have political affinity.
Interesting.
Looking for a candidate that they can attach to without having the need to say you belong to this particular party or you belong to this particular tribe or you belong to this particular religion. That was the difference. So I think that was Polygo represents. And I think that drive for Africa is going to change the political scene and the political narrative of what it used to be and what come. And I think it's something that it might not be able to fight going forward.
Awesome. Well, as usual, you are very incisive in your take. But let me hear from Douglas from Kenya. Do you guys have upstarts in your political system? Who's the latest upstart you had? What happened to him? What is your take on that? I know we have a very vocal youth, the children of anger, as I call them, all over Africa, youth who are just angry, who really want things to change. And we're going to go to the children of anger in a minute. But who represents this guy more in your country? And that was an upstart that just rose up, became popular because of the backing of the youths, and then challenged the political system. Do you guys have anything like that in Kenya? I know we have Peter Obi in Nigeria, and we've had every once in a while we have people like that. But who do you guys got in Kenya?
Thank you, Dr. Okwe. In Kenya, for example, the Gen Zs have taken over. Nobody can reclaim that they represent the hope and the aspirations of the young people in Kenya. But in the past, there have been people who have represented the people against the old establishment and also the old political system. In Kenya, there was a man called J.M. Kariuki, and J.M. Kariuki was a man that used to work with President Kenyatta, Jomo Kenyatta I, and the first president of the Republic of Kenya, and he turned against them. He said that if we are not careful, our country will become a country of 10 millionaires and 10 million beggars. And actually, after he was killed in 1975, that is what happened later on. There were people like Gama Pinto, Tom Mboya. All these people represented a hope and aspiration of the people of the Republic of Kenya. But also, in the dying days of President Mwai Kibaki's administration, We had people like Peter Kenneth, who ran for president in 2013. They had a slogan that they used to say that we can be able to make it. Tunaweza make in Swahili means that we can be able to make it. Like they wanted to copy the Obama's campaign of 2008. Yes, we can. And they turned it into a Swahili slogan that they said, Tunaweza make. And they didn't go far, but in the end, they were defeated at the ballot because sometimes the establishment of the government is really defeated. But with the advent of Gen Zs or the young people, we are now seeing a generation of young people who can be able to take matters into their hands. But also, without political leadership or without clear structure of leadership, we have seen the Gen Zs of Kenya are the first people before Nigerians went to protest in the streets, what they called the national anger walk or national anger strike or something. Before that time, we had the Gen Zs of Kenya who made history on 25th of June, 2024, when they broke into parliament and stole the maize and also wore the speaker's clothes and did unthinkable. In our country, we have what we call government handless. It's called the Arambe Avenue or the Independence Avenue.
Let's stay on point. Again, the topic we are discussing right now is about the phenomenon of upstarts in African policy. We are going to come to the youths in a minute. Right now, we're talking about exam. I think you've answered it already by mentioning a couple of guys there. Mr. Oyeleye, do you have anything that comes to your mind about this particular topic we are discussing now? And we want to keep it about 1 minute so that we can move this in fast. The phenomenon of upstarts in African politics, as represented by Paul Igwe in my book, The Kingmaker of Muguland. Go for it.
Okay, sir. Well, Mr. Bakari had said a lot because we live in the same country. It reminds me of Peter Obi. Yeah, Peter Obi. I see Peter Obi as an opportunist politician, especially for the presidential run-ins. Most of us youths were tired. We are tired of the old cargoes, recycling the power, the presidential power among old cargoes. So we saw Peter Obi as someone who is kind of close to our generation to represent us youth. He's agile. He's a very transparent person. So we are behind him. Unfortunately, he could not get the power. So it reminds me of Peter Obi himself. But thank God he's not killed. Thank God the political terrain is that of democracy, not that of the military regime. Because if it was the military regime, it would have been jailed and perhaps killed for this time. So there's fairness in the politics of the country of Nigeria as far as this democracy in Nigeria is concerned. So that's
all right. Awesome. Yes. So yes, Paul Igwe is actually a prominent gentleman in the book as a counterfoil to the established order, the Chief Bisola Eleniyan. And you guys, you really want to get that book. You might think you know how it ended. You might think you don't know until you read my book. My book is a novel, remember, inspired by a true life events, but not about true life events. And then, of course, it's a novel, so there's some dramatic liberty at the end of that book that will literally blow you away. I'm not going to give away the ending, but you should get the book, The Kingmaker of Muguland, and read it for yourself. And then tell me what you think. It's coming out November 17th, this Sunday at 4 p.m. West African time. We're going to have a big launch event on Zoom. If you have not yet registered for the free launch, here is the link for you to register for it. I thought I had that written down, but let me put it there. Reserve your seat. Reserve your seat for the launch. That's at Kingmaker of Muguland.com/launch. Very simple URL to remember. Kingmaker of Muguland.com/launch. So reserve your seats for the launch. We are going to be doing some awesome things there. We are going to be having a tremendous giveaway. We have some caps. a few of my students made 20 caps for me. We're going to be giving away 20 caps. We're going to be 25 caps, 25 t-shirts, and then we're going to be giving away 25 mugs during the show because we're going to ask some questions. We're going to have a lot of fun on Sunday at 4 p.m. Nigerian time. You want to click that link now, or you want to go to that link, kingmakerofmuguland.com, and reserve your seat. The room we are using is only limited to 500 seats, I believe. So you want to make sure you get your link. Plus, we are going to be giving away 100 free copies of the print version of the book. I had it here somewhere yesterday. I don't know what I did with it. Too many books everywhere. We can have one right here. Okay. So we already have hundreds of it printed. That is right now in Nigeria. We are going to be giving away 100 of these all over Africa for those who join the event. So be sure you register now. You have to register to qualify for the drawing. For the 100 people that will get this, you have to register to qualify for the t-shirt, for the cap, and for the mugs. I promise you it's going to be an amazing event. And we're also going to have some characters inspired by this book who are actually going to come and also speak at the event. Okay, so it's going to be a really fun time for us to do this. Okay, let's keep it moving. I want to talk a little bit about this. We've been talking about these youths. You know, in the book, we have these people that we call, but before we even go there, maybe we should introduce the character that actually instigated that particular saying, where they are now referred to as children of anger. Children all over Africa who are just angry. Some of them, they don't even know why they are angry. They just know they are angry at the situation and they are ready to do something about it. They are ready to change the system. Like you see in Kenya, where the youth saw power failure twice and they decided that they want to take out their president. They didn't care. Now they have stable light. Maybe when we get to that place, Douglas will inspire us by telling us what inspired the people in Kenya. Maybe those of us in Nigeria, those of us in Kenya, in South Africa, in Ghana, maybe we can take a lesson from them. But in Nigeria, where I grew up, we have also youths like that. But so far, most of our elites, they are not really supporting them because they are trying to upend the status quo. In my book, we have a character who himself used to be a very top-level youth leader in fighting for justice. But somehow, during the election, inside the Kingmaker, he changed all of a sudden. He's supporting the status quo, and the youths went for him. Then he went for the youths again, and it became a real big fight between them. But let's watch his introductory video, and then we discuss the phenomenon about where those who used to be leaders of the youth in fighting for change in their nation, somehow, maybe in their old age, they then change and become supportive of the oppressive regime. That is the kind of character that Professor Jade Orokpo in my book represents. Let's watch his intro.
Introducing Professor Jade Oripo of the Kingmaker of Muguland, the disillusioned intellectual. Once a beloved revolutionary intellectual professor, Jade Oripo shocks the nation by endorsing Bisola, stirring backlash among young activists who view him as a sellout. Labeling the youth as children of anger, Oripo distances himself from his former ideals, instead aligning with a controversial figure in the name of progress. His endorsement creates a generational divide, leaving the youth feeling betrayed and exposing the complex motivations that can erode even the most deeply held principles.
All right, that's a short 20-second intro of Chief Jade Orokpo. And if you want to know more about the role he played in this Kingmaker of Muguland, this fictional story, you should get the book, 17th of November, 4 p.m. Join us for the first, and maybe you get a free copy. But this gentleman, in my own mind, the way I positioned him in the book, represents what typically happens to a lot of our elders in Africa, where in their youth, they are full of fire, they are burning for change, they hate corruption, they lead movements to stop corruption. And then when they get old and they get compromised, all of a sudden, they start to denigrate the same thing they used to condemn when they were young. We have characters like that in Nigeria. We're going to talk about him today. We're not hiding anything here. Everywhere in Africa, we have people like that. And in that book, that book would not have been complete if I didn't put in a character like Professor Jadi Orokpo, who, when they were young, they were on fire to change their nation. But maybe out of disillusionment, maybe out of being compromised, maybe out of survival in their old age, they now feel they must support the status quo. And then you see them actually endorsing somebody that the whole world generally figures as being corrupt or who they feel are stealing election. And all of a sudden is calling, or they are calling people who are following their footsteps reactionaries, children of anger, children of this, children of that. What do you guys say about that phenomenon represented by that character in the African experience? Ayo,
Well,
go for it.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. Well, it's interesting for me. There are lots of characters like that, even in Africa. For example, in Nigeria, we had Wole Soyinka was a very strong antagonist of a lot of military dictatorship way back during the military era, and he did fight lots of wars. And but along the line, people have queried his interest in the recent polity. I think Rockwell represents someone like that, you know, over time. I think why I have a divergence from Rockwell and exactly being personifying someone like Wole is the fact that he has not really told us what he's doing, and I really would love to hear that. I mean, we knew what the struggle was all about from way back before June 12, even struggled in the 1960s, you know, First Republic, Second Republic. But in this particular scenario, he has not really told us what the reason is, because I've not really seen him as a person get involved in governance over the years, except during the Babangida administration when he headed the road safety and tried to bring reforms to the Nigerian traffic system. Since then, I've not really seen him get involved in any political position, and he's not contesting himself. So I don't know what the attraction is in this period. It is, you know, really. What I've noticed about activists in Nigeria is that we do not put activists in Nigeria on the platform the way we put them on the platform when they're contesting for election. I mean, Nigeria for some time during June 12. At that particular time, there was really no controversy about his personality till he came out to contest for presidency. You know, so when we choose leaders, we should not start choosing leaders until when leaders come out to contest elections. We will start scrutinizing leaders when they even want to fight for our rights. Because if you have to fight for the rights of a person, I need to know that whoever is fighting for my rights, you understand, is somebody of a character I can want to model myself after. So you have somebody that leads a struggle, then 20 years down the line, you will not say the person has changed. I think the reason is that we didn't scrutinize that person ab initio, because our faces were covered by an ulterior motive or another motive entirely, and that because you're fighting a battle, then everything is good about you. Then when you come out and start to contest, the people are saying, who is this guy really? Those are the questions you ask ab initio. The questions that this generation of youth are asking from now to say, as Gen Zs, let's say if you're coming out to contest, we really need to know who you are. And if you're fighting for a struggle, we need to know that your struggle is sincere. There are lots of struggles in Nigeria. There are lots of struggles of the militant, struggles of vigilantes, tribal pressure groups. You know, everybody's claiming to be one thing or the other. Like my good brother said from Kenya, there's some people that just come out for the name or for the fame. They have ulterior motives. They come out to be a struggle, but then
I don't know.
Comes out later.
I don't know, Ayo.
You know,
I hear what you're saying, but because you mentioned Professor Soyinka in your talk, and in all fairness, he also comes to my mind when I read about this Professor Jade Orokpo character in the Kingmaker of Muguland. I want to be clear. Professor Jade Orokpo is not Professor Wole Soyinka in the book. It's just, again, like I said, characters in the book are inspired by what I see every day in my own existence as an African. It is not directly about them, but they might have been inspired. The book is a novel. It's a work of fiction. We are not claiming that anything we said any character in that book did is real or true. This is very important for everybody to understand as you get hold of this amazing Kingmaker of Muguland book. It's my first novel. It's a work of fiction inspired by some of the events and characters we see in Africa. So having said that, you have come out and say Professor Jade Orokpo Kongito, which was his middle name in the book, that character in the Kingmaker of Muguland reminds you of Professor Wole Soyinka And I want to join issues with you on that. It does. Quite frankly, it reminds me of him. But you are then taking it to a whole different level. Professor Wale Soyinka, for instance, in his own youth, he was the ultimate violent crusader against injustice and corruption. Not only was he violent, I'm talking violent physically. Forget violence on Twitter now. His own, if you remember, there are stories about him. Okay, I call it stories about him. I'm not going to say they are proved, where he allegedly took a gun to a radio station to force the radio station to declare the true results of an election because they were trying to rig it. And then he had to run into Biafra land. He was declared wanted for that offense. He started, this same prof that you just mentioned, who is not the exact person in the book, but you have brought him up. And I'm going to join issues with you on that. The same Professor Wale Soyinka started the cult called the Pirates Confraternity, the campus cult of pirates confraternity, where they are, I don't know what they've become now, but in the time of Professor Wale Soyinka, they were the ultimate crusaders against injustice. They were the ultimate crusaders against violence, against corruption. If you do injustice, they will come to your dorm, they will come to your house, they will beat you literally to death. I mean, they are violent. They are called pirates. They are the first set of secret cults that we have in Nigerian universities. But they were very, very focused on justice, anti-corruption, and proper democracy. But now the same Professor Wale Soyinka now passes 80 years old, 70-something years old, is now condemning, for instance, the obedience that we have in Nigeria. Is calling them children of anger because they are fighting against corruption. Because they were very violent. Yes, I agree. Obedience were very disruptive. They are very abusive. They don't send anybody. He's not calling them children of anger, denigrating them and basically trying to put them down. And I remember being very upset during the elections about that. Now we talk about Nigeria now. I was very upset about that because I felt Professor Wale Soyinka should have supported those young children because they represented him when he was 20 years old, 30 years old. The obedience were like a reincarnation of children. In fact, I used to say, if you come
Doctor, can I say this? Doctor, can I say this? Very importantly, yeah.
Let me finish. I felt that he should have supported the obedience. Yeah, granted, for purpose of transparency, I was an obedient during the election. I was actually on the campaign council for Peter Obi. I'm no longer an obedient. I'm now an equal opportunity critique. I've made that very public. I criticize anybody that doesn't do well, whether it's Peter Obi or whether it's Bola Tinubu. I don't care. I've just decided to become a critique. But during that time, for transparency, I remember I was very upset that Wale Soyinka should have been funding the obedience. He should have been supporting those youths because they took after him. They read his own book. The man died in him who keeps silent in the face of tyranny. Wale Soyinka wrote that book. Wale Soyinka did the Pirate Confraternity to fight against injustice. That was violent. The obedience were only violent on Twitter. And then he comes out and he says they are useless. They are this, they are that, they are Gestapo, they are Hitlers because they were trolling Bola Tinubu on Twitter. They were just doing it on Twitter. They were not on the field. They didn't carry gun to any station. They did not form any call to beat up anybody. So Jade Orokpo represents those type of characters. In my personal opinion, I'm not saying that's him. People who in their youth, they were very vibrant, fighting against injustice and were ready to do what it takes. But when they get old, and now their own friends are in power, or their own tribe is in power, now all of a sudden, it becomes bad for you to troll your leaders, which is what the obedience did. To drag anybody that you feel is, whether they have proof or not, is irrelevant. The important is that youths are always angry about injustice. Look at the Kenyan boys. They are always angry. They are always upset. And yet, they didn't get support from what I call their predecessors in violence. All right, now you can say your piece. Oh, sorry, it's gone. But while we are waiting for him, I'm going to wait for him to come back so that I can say his piece on this. because this is a place I really feel passionately about when I was involved, that we need these youths to be supported for Nigeria to change. If the youths are not supported, we can't change the system. You can see in Kenya, the youths took it upon themselves. They went and they decided to disrupt everywhere, and look at the change they got. But let's take Ayo. Ayo wanted to say something before we go to Douglas from Kenya. Ayo, go for it.
Oh, yes. So what I was saying is that it was most of what happened in the First Republic that led to the creation of most of these so-called fraternities and protests and issues, which is what's happening today. If we call these people children of anger, it is simply because we have failed their generation as leaders. We have failed their generation with our form of social order. We are creating this so-called, you won't call them angry children, you won't call them abusive children, you call them whatever they are. It is because we failed their generation. It's as simple as that. The level of corruption will show them, the level of lack of respect for social order and political systems, the level of lack of decorum we've shown as politicians, as leaders. This is what the youth are seeing. This is what the youth have grown up into. And this is what the youth are saying they are tired of. We created this system. We made them angry. And so when you build, when you create a lion and start looking for a cage, it really baffles me. So if we continue this way, we are going to be old and have these young people in legislation, and we'll be complaining about what they are doing, and they'll be looking at us and laughing. That this is the polity you created for us, and this is the polity we are going to live under when they become leaders of tomorrow, which they are going to become. Sadly enough, I don't know what the professor's issues are. I don't know what his personal grievances are. All I know is that we created this generation, and they're giving it back to us the way it is for our failures, and that's really sad.
Yes, thank you for that contribution. You're right. You can see that I was very passionate about that. In fact, a lot of my friends were very upset at me that I actually took that professor to task during the election. I'm talking about the real, the Professor Wole Soyinka of Nigeria at that time, who again is not the Jade Oropo of this book, but again, characters are inspired by true life events that we see. Douglas, before we go to Mr. Oyeleye, you have something to say about this, but let's hear from the Kenyan perspective. If you don't have, it's okay. You don't have anything to say. Okay, this is a tough one for you to get involved. All right, Mr. Douglas, what do you have to say about this phenomenon of corruption crusaders who often turn reactionary in their old age to support the status quo represented by this character called Jade Oropo, Professor Jade Oropo in the Kingmaker of Muguland novel? Go for it.
Thank you, Dr. Okwe. In 1970s and early 1980s in this country, in Nairobi, the people who are governors today, the people who are senators today, were the young people. They were the Gen Zs of those years. They used to demonstrate in the universities, in colleges, in their towns and industrial towns and urban centers, and they would say that government is bad, and the government is not doing this, government is not doing this, there must be reforms. And they brought in 1982 in 1982 the government of President Moi was almost toppled for a few hours. The government was overthrown, and then he turned the country into a multi-party system of democracy. And in 1992 they removed the Section 2A, which had made the country a one-party state. And then the same people who are fighting for multi-party democracy in our country, the same people who are fighting for better conditions of living, governance issues and corruption in 1970s and 80s and early 90s, when Section 2A of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya was removed, are the same people who are in power today. They cannot support the Gen Zs of today. They are professors, Wole Soyinka of Nigerians in Kenya. There is a governor I know, very good men, who used to support demonstrations, who used to demonstrate as a student leader. But when student leaders are demonstrating in town and he is a lawyer, he cannot offer free legal services for the young people who are agitating for what he was agitating for in 1970 and 80s. The same people have now become turncoats, and now they want the young people of Kenya to relax because they are governors and because they don't want to be removed from those positions of power. We have a lot of hypocrisy in our leaders in Africa. When it is their time to demonstrate, it is good. But when the shoe is on the other shoe, they don't want to accept that the young people have also become of age and they want a better country, just the way they wanted a better country in 1970, just the same way they wanted a better country in 1990, in 1980. The same old people, old bearded men with gray hair in their hair, in their heads, were young people in 1970. They don't want young people. They don't want young people to continue demonstrating for a better country. When young people are saying there is runaway corruption, it is the same corruption these governors were talking about in 1970. It is the same corruption, it is the same forest, but different monkeys. These people should give us a break and let us build a better country, a better Africa, and a better world, which we can all be proud of and be able to bequeath the next generation. Professor Oleso Yinka of Kenya, in quote, there are so many professors in Kenya, like Soyinka, who cannot be able to stand the fact that in 1970, they were demonstrating in Nigeria, they were demonstrating in Nairobi, in Lagos, in Abuja, in Mombasa, in Kisumu of Kenya, and different parts of Africa. All these old men do not want to accept that the same issues they were talking about the education system is corrupting. In 1970, it was. In 2024, it is corruption. It is corrupting. They were talking about bad roads, bad governance, corruption, runaway corruption, and all those things they were talking. We are still talking about the same thing. It is the leaders who have now become grown old people who do not want to accept that they have also failed their generation. They have not been able to correct. They have not been able to correct issues that they have been able to be that they have been advocating for. As I finish my point, the same leaders who have been trying to block roads, saying that they want good governance, when now the Gen Zs of this time have also gone on and occupied the parliament that Oreso Incas of Nairobi have not been able to occupy. They now want to tell us, please come to wonder, parliament is a protected area. It is the same parliament that is used to create bad laws for this country, to be able to make bad laws for this country, and to be able to pass punitive bills and also punitive financial bills that have been able to bring this country to its knees. Remember, it is the punitive financial bill 2024 that almost brought this country to its knees when the young people, the Gen Zs, went to the streets and demonstrated. But now, the older people want to tell us, young people, go slow. We were here in 1970. They should give us a break. Thanks.
I love your analysis, Douglas Kirimi. For those of you just watching, Douglas Kirimi is one of those young, hot-headed, hot-blooded children of anger that Africa is breeding now. They're angry, they're upset at everything. We have our own obedience in Nigeria. I don't know what they call the ones in Africa, in South Africa. I know they also have a name they call them, those youths who are going on rampage because their country is literally obliterated now. Stephen, you have a comment on this before we move on to the next segment here? We are almost wrapping up for the day. We have 17 more minutes on the show. I think we're going to take Bisola Eleniyan tomorrow. That one has to take a whole hour, the main character of the video. But less of the book, rather. Do you have anything to say on this issue, or do we just move on? Go for it, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, my two co-guests on this show have really said a lot about Professor Jadi Oropo. But I think what the matter is about this person is because in their own time, when they were in vogue, when it was their time, they are at their 80s, they were fighting for what they think should be of advantage and benefit for them. And now at this particular age of theirs, they realize that, well, most of the things happening in the country does not really directly affect them. It is impacting on us, majority youth in the country. So they are not directly affected. They are kind of inert. They're kind of they have made it. They have fought for their right in their own time, and they have really got what they want. So if we don't get what we want, it's our own problem, it's our own business. But the comment condemning those who are actually wanting to fight for their right is kind of, to me, self-centeredness. in the selfishness of the time. And that statement was not ought not to be altered to these youths. So, in my own opinion, these people are out of vogue. It's not their time. This is our own time, and we've got to fight for our own rights. They fought for their rights in their own time. In our own time, we need to fight for our own rights. We are not supposed to listen to them. We are doing this for our own future. We are doing this for our next generation. And this we will do until we realize our advantage and benefits as a nation.
All right. Well, thank you guys for weighing in on that topic, which is the phenomenon of anti-corruption crusaders who turn reactionary in their old age to support the status quo, which is represented by the character Professor Jade Kongito Orokpo in the book, The Kingmaker of Muguland. You want to get that old book for yourself to be able to get the true experience, because it is an experience. This book is my very first novel, and I'm coming out with it with a bang. We're having music, songs done for different chapters in the book. We are making every chapter of that book a video for YouTube that you can watch, so that for those of us who like to enjoy video presentation, you're actually going to love it. We have every chapter is now an episode on our YouTube channel that will be launched on Sunday along with the book. We're going to release that YouTube channel, and then every day in the month of November and December, we're going to be releasing a chapter a day, because it's a 51 chapter book, and we're going to combine 2 chapters every once in a while into one. So over the next 45 days, we're going to be releasing the book gradually every day. You're going to have a new episode. Call it a series, a daily series that you're going to be enjoying. So I'm really all into this book, because everybody knows me, know that I don't go small. It's either go big or go home. Now that I decided I want to be a novelist, I'm going to come out big, and this book is my very first testament. It's my very first release, and I'm so proud of it. You can see it's a full book. It's a full novel. It's 373 pages, and I'm doing something amazing. I almost forgot that. Okay, we are letting, because of a what I call a production error, where some chapters of the book were inadvertently leaked to a group that we didn't want to have it yet, but I've decided to make it available for everybody. So as you are watching this now, you can actually download right now the first 110 pages of this book on this website, kingmakerofmuguland.com/leaked, so that you can get an idea of what this is all about. The first 100 pages is a blow away. Even if I say it myself, go check it out right now. Okay, you can, and then you can also register for the official launch. As a matter of fact, thank you for that. At least you're clapping for me. I like it when they clap for me like that. It's good work that I'm doing now. Okay. So we have, you can register for the launch. When you register for the launch, it will redirect you to another page for you to download the first 100 pages of this book. So you want to go to this place first, kingmakerofmuguland.com/launch. Once you put in your email that you are ready to show up, or you want to attend the official launch, it will automatically redirect you to another page for you to download the first 120 pages of the book, The Kingmaker of Muguland. Please go there now. Search it on your system. kingmakerofmuguland.com/launch. Register, and then make sure when you are redirected, you actually then put in your information to download the first 120 pages of the book right here for free. And since they already have it, I said, let me just give it away, and then you can be ready for us for the official launch, so that you can get access to the whole copy of the book. Now, before we go on, I want to give a little shout out. We've been talking about youths, and of course, youths played a very big part in the series. The Kingmaker of Muguland is the first book in my Chronicles of Muguland series. I'm writing a 10-book series called Chronicles of Muguland. And the first book is the one we are talking about, The Kingmaker of Muguland. Book 2 is The Children of Anger. I actually dedicated that to youths like Douglas Kirimi in Africa, to youths who are fighting for change across the continent. I wrote a whole chapter 2, book 2 of the Chronicles of Muguland for them. It's called The Children of Anger. In addition to that, I think Stephen and his team, Gold and their team, they decided they are going to do a video to celebrate the children of anger. We are going to be, of course, promoting that music and video a lot when we launch the second book, but I want to play today as a shout out to the Douglas. Do you guys have a name for your youths in Kenya? What do you guys call yourself in Kenya? We call our own obedience in Nigeria. What do you call yourself?
The ones that went and burnt parliament are called Gen Zs.
Gen Zs, okay, the Gen Zs in Kenya. And I think they also call Gen Zs in South Africa, and the obedience in Nigeria. This is to you. We had a special song that called Instead of You Feeling Bad About the Nickname Children of Anger. I think you should embrace it. I tell the youths that.
Doctor.
That yes.
The ones that went, the ones that demonstrated the other day in Nigeria are also Gen Zs, not obedience.
Yeah, okay, Gen Zs, but that okay.
Yes.
The Gen Zs, see, thank you for correcting
the
me.
ones that were taken to court, the young people, Gen Zs, the ones who were born between, yes, the ones who were born between 1997 and 2007.
All right, so those who are 27 years and down, they are the Gen Zs, like 27 years old. Well, this is to them. We celebrate Gen Zs. We celebrate every youth that is angry about the situation they have found their country, whether it is Nigeria, whether it is Kenya, whether it is South Africa, because I strongly believe, and I'm doing a banner for that, that the nation dies when the youths of that nation are no longer angry at the status quo, when the youths become satisfied, when the youths are okay with an underperforming nation, with a nation that has everything that God can give a nation, but that is not moving forward. When the youth start becoming content, that nation dies. So may your anger never be assuaged until the country, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, all the troubles of Africa are starting to progress. You cannot afford to lose your anger, because it's your anger that is propelling change. In Kenya, the anger of the Gen Z made the government to make sure that their light starts to become constant now. Okay? In Nigeria, our leaders, they may not be giving the children of anger they want yet, but if you notice, every time the youth gets restless, they make changes. We can see that. In fact, the youth of Nigeria, who are the NSAS youths, that's a whole different type of youth too. The NSAS youth, they single-handedly made the government to shut down the oppressive police department who was busy taking advantage of youths. People forget that, the NSAS. Okay? So even now, with the current President Bola Tinubu, when the youth start to shout about something, he reacts and makes the changes. So it's the anger of the youth that is fueling change all over Africa. And my prayer for you is that may your anger not be never subside until your nation, wherever it is, begins to experience progress. Because the anger of the youth is the motivation for change. Old people like me are not going to lead change. I'm 60 years old. My friends are the ones in government. There's a way I will shout, they will give me a call. I say, calm down. And then I will calm down. Or they will threaten that they will shut down my houses or burn down my house. I will calm down because they're my friends. I went to school with them. I eat with them. I can be as aggressive as and obedient as I want. But the point is, they know my button to press when it gets too tough for them. But the youths have nothing to lose, right? The youths, they have no job anyway, so what? They are ready to die there, okay? They are seeing their future being compromised by these leaders. So my prayer is that the youths of Nigeria, of Ghana, of Kenya, of South Africa, of every troubled African nation, God will help you to maintain that anger, that righteous anger that only youths can feel like that. You know, me, I can't have righteous anger. People will point to stuff I've done 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So I have no moral rights. But the youths, they got nothing to lose. This video and this song, I wrote this song myself. I mixed it. I produced it for the youths of Africa. It's called The Children of Anger. And you have a whole book that is coming in your honor. But for now, I hope I have the video here. Oh, I hope I got it. I wanted to get that video here so that I can really celebrate them today. Oh my God. Okay, I don't think I have it here. That'll be bad. But if I don't, I will play it tomorrow. It's called the Rise of the Children of Anger. Okay, I have it here. Okay, I have it. It's going to take a while to resolve. I'm uploading it now. I have nothing but mad respect, even though I'm no longer an obedient. I can't be when I'm too old, for the Gen Z, the NSAS people, the obedience, all those, the Gen Zs, Kenya, who have taken it up on themselves that they're not going to allow their future to be compromised unnecessarily. Because all of us who are 60 and above, in another 20 years, 15 years, we are gone. But what world are we bequeathing to you? And if you don't fight for your world now, nobody's going to do it for you. I always say these people, they're like, no. The old people are not going to come and fight for change for you. They enjoy the status quo. The status quo works for most of them. So it's on you. So I'm waiting for the video to play so that I can celebrate you before we move on to the next character. I'm uploading the video, is coming. Before then, maybe we have one more character I can show before we go so that we can end this properly. But there's a team that we're going to be exploring tomorrow, the team of tribalism. I don't know how big that is in Kenya or in South Africa, but Nigeria is a very, 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 very big problem. In fact, many of our so-called elders who are fighting against injustice before, the reason why they are not talking against this government is because this government really, really is about somebody from their tribe. You see the place like Nigeria, when an Hausa man is there, all the youths, all the old people, they feel that they must support him, they must everything he does. We saw that with Buhari, where everybody in the north, including some youths that are supposed to be fighting for their future, where they feel that they must support him. You say anything against him, they attack you. We are seeing that happen even with the Yoruba president. I'm Yoruba, but I have to call it, where many of the elders feel that if you are saying anything against this government, you are being disloyal because it's from your tribe. They will tell you when the Hausas were there, they did this, they did that. Now that it's your turn, why are you against your own people? And they make it sound like you are not a loyal a country person. So, and I started thinking for myself, what if we don't have tribes? What if there are no tribes in Africa or Nigeria, in every other country, where all of us can really work together as one? And I was thinking about that, and I actually wrote a song on that while we are waiting for the Children of Anger song to play. I want to play that for you. It's called Muguland Reimagined. Okay, and it was inspired by this song by the Beatles, you know, where they said, imagine there is no this, imagine there is no that, where all of us are dwelling together as one. And that's really, really resonated with me. So I came up with this song, these lyrics, and I got the Mugu Prince to perform it. It's called Muguland Reimagined. We're going to play it again tomorrow as we talk about a role of tribes in this Kingmaker of Muguland thing. How is it bringing us down as a continent? Enjoy.
Imagine there's no tribes here, no Awo, Superkorobia or Yorubawa, no Ofifical, Fufude or Kaduriites, just one Muguland under one star. Imagine all the people living as one soul. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and Muguland will be as one. Imagine no divisions, no hatred, no names to separate, no leaders fueled by ego, no more hearts torn by tribalism. Imagine all the people joining hand in hand. Imagine if we were brothers, beyond the lines we draw. No need for greed or power, just love to guide our law. Imagine a land united where every voice is heard. No Okoro bien or Awasa or Yorubawa. Just one beating heart, one word. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and Muguland will be as one. Yes, I hope someday you'll join us, and Muguland will be as one. Yes, I hope someday you'll join us, and Muguland will be as one.
Love it. I love that song. I love that song. I love it. What do you think, Stephen? That was a powerful song. I love it. See? I'm not done.
That song is so powerful, sir. That song is so powerful, and I really appreciate the inspiration behind that song. It personally touches me. It's a song that lifts the soul out of the turbulent situation we find ourselves. I mean, the Muguland are experiencing, which is a reflection of what we experience in many African countries. African countries, there's Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and likes like that. So it's a song that lifts the soul and reflects the political and economic situation of the country. So it's a therapeutic song for us. Thank you so much for bringing up that song for us.
Sorry, I didn't know you cannot hear me. Oh my God. How long have I been talking? I muted myself when you were talking. All right. Again, I just looked up and I realized that our time is up. My apologies. I did not realize that I was muted. All that beautiful thing I said now, I forgot it. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in today. And I wanted you to know that tomorrow we are going to be bringing out the big dog himself, the primary character in the book, Chief Bisola Eleniyo himself. We are going to focus on him, what motivates him, what is his driving force, and all that to help you understand this book that is launching on November 17th at 4 p.m. West African time. You want to join us on Zoom. If you have not yet registered to be part of that launch, you want to go here right now. Let me put up the link again. You want to reserve your seat for the launch at kingmakerofmuguland.com/launch. And when you register there, you are going to be redirected to be able to get access to the leaked version of the book. We have 112 pages or so of the book that we have made available because some parts of it was leaked, and I decided let's release it to everybody for you to read, download it for free, read, enjoy the book, and join us in a countdown for tomorrow. It's going to be an explosive one. And I want to end on this note that all of us who are Africans, Ghanaians, Nigerians, South Africans, Kenyans, most of us are going through tough times right now, especially my country of birth, Nigeria, where price of foodstuffs has literally quadrupled or quintupled in the last 1 year or so, where our currency has basically tripled in terms of losing value and all that. It looks like it's going to be the end of the world, but it's not. At the end of darkness always comes light. I believe Nigeria is going to get better in my lifetime. Not tomorrow, not when I'm dead, not when we are gone. It takes a few years for God to restore all those stuff that we have lost as a nation. So I just want to encourage you, regardless of what you are going through now, there will be joy in the morning. Join us tomorrow as we continue this explosive saga of the Kingmaker of Muguland, launching on Sunday, 17th of November at 4 p.m. As we go, I just want to encourage, like I said, following in what Bob Marley said, "No Woman, No Cry." We have a special song at the Muguland Nation for you called "No Muguland, No Cry," to encourage you that everything is going to be all right. I'm going to be playing that song now and hope it blesses you tonight. Where is that song? Here we go.
No Muguland, no cry. No Muguland, no cry. Oh, Muguland, no cry. No Muguland, no cry. No Muguland, no cry. Oh, Muguland, no cry. No Muguland, no cry. 'Cause I remember when we used to sit under the old trees, wide embrace. They split us up with words of hate. Yeah, turned tribes to tools they could replace. Oh, they stoked the fire, watched us burn, while children cried from hunger's pain. They sold our future for their gain, left us stranded in the rain. No Muguland, no cry. No Muguland, no cry. Oh, my people, don't shed no tears. No Muguland, no cry. I remember when they preached of peace, with silver tongues that spread their lies. Promised us fields where we could grow, yeah. But greed left empty bowls and sighs. Oh, their pockets full, their hearts so cold. They didn't care if we survived. They used our fears to take control, while their children only thrived. No Muguland, no cry. No Muguland, no cry. Oh, my people, don't shed no tears. No Muguland, no cry. Their ambition sees no vision, just the crown and hollow fame. They divide us with their blindness, but we won't play their game, yeah. And while we mourn, everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright now. Everything's gonna be alright. No Muguland, no cry. No Muguland, no cry. Oh, my people will stand so strong. No Muguland, no cry. Said, oh, Muguland, don't shed No Muguland, no Muguland, no Muguland, no cry. No Muguland, no cry. One more time, let's raise our voice so clear. No Muguland, no cry.
Alrighty, that was Atina's another great song from the series, The Kingmaker of Muguland. I want to appreciate Stephen Oyelaye, Gold, Tamuno, and the rest of the Video 360 collective who created all these videos. They did about 20 of these videos to go with the Chronicles of Muguland series, and every one of them is excellent. I love you guys for creating those graphic videos for me. God bless you so much for supporting this project. And of course, Stephen, for representing your team here tonight. I appreciate you. For Ayo, who had to get out. He told me that his battery was running out. I appreciate you. I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, as we continue to count down to the first launch, to the launch of my first fictional novel called The Kingmaker of Muguland. I look forward to seeing you. Meanwhile, keep hopes alive. Better things are yet to come for our nation. God bless you. And Dr. Ope Banwo.